SS Laurentic was a British transatlantic ocean liner that was launched in 1908. She is an early example of a ship whose propulsion combined reciprocating steam engines with a low-pressure steam turbine. The Laurentic was one of a pair of sister ships that were ordered in 1907 by the Dominion Line but completed for the White Star Line. The Dominion Line planned to call the ships Alberta and Albany, but before the pair was completed, the IMM transferred them to one of its subsidiaries, the White Star Line, and they were renamed to conform with White Star naming policy. The Alberta was launched September 10, 1908 as the Laurentic. Despite the change of owners, the ship was still to serve the route between Liverpool and Montreal. They were White Star Line's first ships on the route. Harland and Wolff built the Laurentic on slipway number 6 of his South Yard in Belfast. She was completed on April 15, 1909. The Laurentic produced 20% more power than her sister for the same coal consumption. For the same power output, Laurentic's coal consumption was 12 to 15% less than her sister. This led White Star to specify a similar 3-screw combination of the 2 triple expansion engines and 1 low-pressure turbine for the Olympic-class liners that Harland and Wolff launched in 1910 and 1911. The Laurentic carried 387 crew and had berths for 1,660 passengers, 230 first class, 430 second class, and 1,000 third class. On her maiden voyage, the Laurentic left Liverpool on April 29th and reached both Quebec and Montreal on May the 7th. In her 5 years of service, the Laurentic took thousands of immigrants from the UK to Canada. In July 1910, Metropolitan Police DCI Walter Drew used Laurentic's speed to reach Rimouski, Quebec, ahead of murder suspect Harley Harvey Criplin. Drew boarded Montrose, arrested Criplin and Leneuve, and repatriated them aboard the Mechanic. In 1911, Laurentic set a westbound record time for the route of 13 days, 4 hours from Liverpool to Montreal. On September 13, 1914, the Laurentic was requisitioned at Montreal to be a troop ship. She loaded 15,000 sacks of flour and embarked the 1st Battalion, the Royal Canadian Dragoons. On October 3rd, she left Gaspee Bay as one of a convoy of 32 ships, bringing more than 30,000 members of the Canadian Expeditionary Force to Europe. The Admiralty then had Laurentic converted into an armed merchant cruiser. She was armed with 8 QF 6-inch naval guns and 2 6-inch powder guns. On November 25th, she was commissioned as the HMS Laurentic. The Laurentic's logbooks record that on December 23rd in Birkenhead, she loaded some species. This refers to the 3,211 gold bars that she was secretly to carry to buy munitions from Canada and the USA. At the time, they were worth £5 million. On January 25th at 5:55 p.m., just north of the Low, Laurentic struck a mine that had been laid by U-80. It exploded abreast of Laurentic's foremast. 20 seconds later, a second mine exploded abreast of her engine room, which disabled her dynamos and pumps. The crew was unable to transmit a wireless distress message, but fired a distress rocket. Both explosions were on her port side, to which she soon listed 20 degrees, making it hard to launch the lifeboats. Despite the difficult conditions, the Laurentic's crew launched lifeboats and tried to row ashore, guided by the Fathead Lighthouse. But the temperature dropped as low as 9 degrees Fahrenheit, and many men in the lifeboats died of hypothermia before reaching the shore. Local fishing boats rescued the exhausted survivors. About 45 minutes after the explosion, Captain Norton, using an electric torch, searched the ships for survivors. He then boarded a lifeboat and was the last to leave his ship. In total, 354 men were killed and 121 survived. The survivors were given a civic reception in the Guildhall in Derry, where each man was given a 10-shilling note and a packet of cigarettes. A crew of Royal Navy salvage divers was deployed to try to recover the gold bullion that had been stowed in the Laurentic's second-class baggage room. It was led by Captain Gibbon Dammit, who was a specialist in deep-water diving. The crew also included Laurentic's own diver, August Dent, who had survived the sinking. Initially, the wreck was intact. Dammit and his team used gun cotton to blow open a watertight door midway down the ship's side and an iron gate in the companionway leading to the baggage room. A diver used a hammer and chisel to open the baggage room door. In 2 days, they managed to retrieve 4 boxes, each worth about 8,000 pounds. After the 4th box was raised, a gale began which forced Dammit to suspend the work. The gale lasted a week. When divers returned, they found the wreck crushed. The entry point was deeper, the companionway to the baggage room was squashed, with the ceiling now only 18 inches above its floor. Divers used explosives to force the ceiling back up and shore it up, but when they reached the baggage room, they found its floor torn open and the gold gone. The wreck was noisy, indicating that parts of it were still moving. The companionway was beneath 5 decks and at a risk of collapse. Dammit abandoned this access route and directed his crew to use explosives to remove the main mast and make a vertical shaft down through the wreck to where he expected the gold to now be. After 2 months, Dammit's crew completed their shaft, and as the wreck had moved and deteriorated, some of the boxes had broken open. By September, the weather was worsening and Dammit suspended work again. In the end, the divers retrieved a total of 3,186 gold bars, with only 25 gold bars still missing. To date, the salvage is one of the largest recovery of sunken gold by weight in history. The Laurentic's wreck is between Pennant and Maidenhead at the depth of 98 to 131 feet. The wreck has been broken up by years of salvage work and more than a century of strong currents, but large parts, such as her Scotch spoilers, are still recognizable.